Hello, hello. It is Bertram. Welcome to the Renown Revenue Cycle Roundup. Thank you so much for those who've joined, and I'm so excited. I really can't contain my excitement. Ever since we first came up with the idea and the concept of why don't we have regularly scheduled meetings and a format that anyone can join, doesn't matter if you're part of an association, as long as you're within revenue cycle, doesn't even have to be coding, but why don't we have some type of format that we can get together on a regular basis, not take too much time out of our day, but we want to find out who the subject matter experts are, find out what's going on in your industry, find out if you're having any type of resume or application issues to get those resolved, or at least have a professional like myself look at them, and also network. That's a power in everything. And it's a real pleasure of mine to do that because ever since I got first started in recruiting, this passion didn't come from me just wanting to be a recruiter. I actually started, 11 or so years ago, having the most difficult time back when we had the great recession, whatever, in terms of just having a hard time to get place and get an opportunity. And in that, I found a passion of being able to help people. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with you guys today. And ladies, we're gonna give it a minute or two for more people to join. Please take note of this link because I love LinkedIn Live, even just from having my first presentation. Because what I've realized is that it is a great resourcing tool, and I'm probably going to go into that a little bit later today. So take a copy of this link. Feel free to share with your network. Feel free to let the word out, let people know that we're doing this, and we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Okay, so I was a little bit deadly on this last week, but I need to get my presentation up. So let me go ahead and let me do that. Okay, Misty, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for sharing with your network, and just for promoting and letting the word get out on this. Okay. Heather, we look forward to getting to know you a little bit more as well. Good afternoon, Marilyn. And of course, here we go, Victoria. So Victoria is going to be our speaker today. Definitely looking forward to hearing from you in a little bit, okay? And give me one moment. All right, just trying to get this up here. We're going to have so much fun. We really are going to have so much fun. So let's get some slides. Let's add it. Okay, here we go. Yep, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. I'm just looking at time. Bonnie, thank you so much for for joining. And for any employers, hiring managers out there, decision makers, you can already see the impact that this is having. We're having folks from our industry that have experience and that are looking to take their careers to the next step or just network professionally as we can that are joining. So thank you, thank you. Amy, we are very excited to have you here. So just give me one moment. I'm just waiting for this presentation to go. So here we go. All right. So, as I mentioned a minute ago, the reason why I wanted us to have this is because I wanted us to have more of a regularly scheduled meeting webinar where it is going to be very cost effective and where employers, candidates, subject matter experts, and anyone that's within revenue cycle, because what you're going to find out from some of the speakers that I've been talking with to join is that our industry is much more than just coding. It's much more than just that mid revenue cycle. There's a front end, the back end, there's all in between, and middle management also working with hospital staff and getting to administration, where we can network for opportunities, we can learn more, and we can have a lot of fun and network. Networking is really where the power is, I believe. And for subject matter experts and for those that are very tenured in your field, you're going to come to a point and reach a point where you probably know where all of the decisions are being made, and you're probably not going to go through the traditional application channels, but you're going to talk to this person that's going to talk to this person, they're going to bring you in. Forbes released an article years ago that said over like 70% of jobs are not posted, And why does that happen? Usually because they happen to know somebody that'd be a great fit for that role, that speaking engagement, and they just reach out to them or their contacts and they just bring them in. So there's a lot of power in networking and knowing who those right decision makers are. And what I want to do is I don't want to take away from anything that we're doing in person or any conferences that we're having, of course, but I want to amplify it. I want to give us more touch points. I found out for myself as a business owner, especially, it's very expensive to go to these conferences. Um, the conferences themselves tend to be very siloed. For example, if the main conference is in Washington, D.C., unless you're on the East Coast or it's within driving distance, depending on your budget, you may not even attend. And what if you're graduating that year? What if that year is going to be a record breaking year for you, or the next conference until the next conference happens? So I found that they're just very inadequate in terms of that standpoint. They're very siloed. And they'd also have a lot of rules and regulations on top of the fees that they would have to pay. And I just was wondering, why can't we have something that would be a little bit more frequent? So if any of the larger associations would love to reach out to us and let us do some type of roundup with their associations for their members, I think it would be fantastic. Why can't we do this a little bit more often? But from a lot of the complaints and criticisms folks have had about the conferences and how things happen, or the chapter meetings and all of that stuff. I love the chapter meetings. A lot of things happen, and you're obviously able to network exclusively with your local immediate network, and that's fantastic. But I just want to have something be a little bit more informal, allow recruiters and employers to come in, allow us to hear from people that do a little bit more than what we believe. Because, as I said, revenue cycle is a lot more than just coding, it's a lot more than just recruiting and all of that good stuff. Okay, so today, we're going to learn more about social media from our speaker and revenue cycle and those uses through Victoria Moll. I'm going to introduce her in a minute. We're going to share open and available job opportunities. I'm going to have a live Ask Mr. B. Just ask me a question, whether it be in regards to your resume, your application, what you're going through, or what you happen to need help with. For employers as well, if you have a hard time identifying people, let us know. Share that with us so we can get to you and we can be a conduit to kind of help get you past that hump. All right. And of course, we're going to have open networking at the end. And the fantastic thing is, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at us having a format that I'm going to share with you here shortly. And what that format is going to allow each and every one of you to do is, with that format, let's say you're an inpatient coder, you're an employer, you're a subject matter expert, you can follow the format, edit the text within that format, and you can post it. So that doesn't necessarily need for you to post your whole resume in the chat. And if somebody's interested in your skill set or what you're bringing to the table, that they can reach out to you directly. And remember, the power of this LinkedIn Live is that it's being recorded. What that means is, as it's being recorded, let's say I'm a recruiter and I happen to miss, I was in a meeting, I had a, son's doctor's appointment, whatever, I can come back to this recording and I can find your information. If you happen to no longer be available or whatever, that's fine. Just please let those folks know, hey, Bertram, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm no longer looking for an opportunity. I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. That way, the next time, I happen to need something, I can go out, I can reach out to you, I can connect with you, or just ask for their contact information. Remember, recruiters, employers, and candidates, it doesn't have to be about, immediate gratification. And what I mean by that is, just because you're not currently looking for a job, don't miss this opportunity to network and find out who's hiring and who the decision makers are. Because when things happen or when things hit the fan, you want to have those contacts. You want to have those Rolodexes. You want to know, hey, this person and this individual is usually hiring. I want to reach out to them. Or, you know what, I always wanted to work with Bertram, but I never got the chance. I'm going to reach out to him right now. You want to know who those individuals are. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share the networking format in the comments, and this is for each and every one of us to go ahead and just go ahead and share. So the format, I'm going to have a template, and then I'm going to have an example. Okay, so I'm putting that in the comments right now. Okay, that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted. Let me try it shorter. Okay, 1 second. Let's see how that turns out. Okay, somewhat. We'll kind of figure that out. But essentially, what you like to do is you're going to want to label yourself whether you're a candidate, employer, or speaker, subject matter expert. And then you're going to have your name and title. And then down, you're going to have the state and the city. A lot of opportunities tend to be localized, meaning, hey, we need to hire somebody from this immediate area, or it may not even matter. And then your skill set. Let's say you are a coder and you're doing inpatient coding, ED, HEDIS, HCC, you're just starting out, Profi, whatever that may be, that's where you're going to be able to put that. Put your credentials as well, years of experience and email. So try to have them tiered. So, for example, name and title, city and state, skill set, credentials, experience, as well as your email. And the reason why this is effective, and a lot of you may not know this, way back when, when I was working for some of these big recruiting and HIM staffing firms, they don't necessarily send your resume all over the place. They use what we used to call a sizzle. We used to kind of like summarize folks' information to give them a better understanding of what we're looking for, because each of these employers have essentially their target candidate or employee. For example, I don't need to know everywhere that you've worked at. But if you have 3 years of experience, then guess what? That box is checked. If you have your credentials, that box is checked. Can I, let's say I'm a localized hospital. Can I hire in your state? If I happen to know your state and city, that box is checked. So please follow the format, and it's going to be very helpful. Towards the end, let's say we have employers that are jumping on, or people that are going to go back, watch this again, and try to contact you. You want to give them your contact information. Okay, so this is just for those that are open to networking. If you are on the fence, or let's say you're currently employed and you don't want your current employer to find out that you're looking or actively looking and those kinds of things, as the employers will list their information, you can go out and reach out to them, whether that be LinkedIn, their websites, or the contact information that they have displayed. Okay. All right. So I want to go ahead and I want to bring Victoria in because she's on she's on standby. I can say. So Victoria, thank you so much for joining. And just to introduce you to those who may not know, so Victoria has spent over 15 years in our industry, and one of the things when it comes to coding that she's really known for is how she utilizes comedy, humor, education, and being very patient and just having a very warm heart to especially those who are stuck in a bind or entry level needing their experience. And she started a whole YouTube channel. And the crazy thing about that YouTube channel, I remember when you first started it, Victoria, like you're just doing your thing and you're posting to other platforms as well, whether that be Facebook and TikTok and all of that stuff. But then like you blew up and you
Yeah.
got, is that button behind you? Where's the button?
Yeah.
That button is
There it
behind
is.
you. If you do not know what that button is awesome. It means that you're
Mhm.
really putting in the work, you're being consistent, and you just bring a lot of humor to it. I feel with compliance, coding, and all that, what we have to do, we can all be a little bit rigid, right? But you try your best to bring humor to the table and allow people to know that, hey, just because this is going on or you may have missed this, it's okay. Like let's educate ourselves. Let's get better about it. And also, one of the fantastic things I like about Victoria is how she really tries her best to help out entry level folks. We've all
Mm.
been there, and just my 2 cents on that. I know it's not easy. Like when I wanted to get a recruiting job, it took me 3 years. And that doesn't even make sense to me today because that's a job that nobody wants. But still,
Right.
a lot of folks are asking the same thing. So I also have a passion for helping people that are, starting out. But Victoria, to get us started, how would you say, or what would you say if people were to talk about you, introduce you, that you are renowned or you are, well known for?
Oh, definitely, social media and content creation. So oh, there we go. So ah, we're working out the bugs here. So one of the things I'm most known for is my social media and content creation, kind of like you said, Bertram, being able to bring a different light. One of the things that I really makes me happy about what I've done on social media is when I hear a couple of different things. Number 1, Victoria, thanks to you, I passed my CPC exam. Second is when I hear people telling me, "Oh, my instructor uses your videos in class." I love being able to provide resources that are not only helpful to students, but time savers for teachers, that they're putting their course together, they're grading papers, and they're like, "You know what? My students aren't getting this. Victoria has a video in it. I'm just gonna pull that into my learning management system, embed it right in there, and that will help them out. I love that. I'm actually working on a whole new series right now that's geared towards supplements for teachers to put into their curriculum for their
Wow.
students.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. In terms of you getting started in social media, because I'm sure it's not easy to get started, because a lot of us are fumbling. We're not exactly sure what we want to do, or we may be on the fence about putting ourselves out there. What would you say to myself or me? Like, hey, I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on YouTube. We're a medical coder. Is there really an audience? What are the benefits of me putting myself out there in terms of being on social media?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much of an audience you can pick up by just putting yourself out there and being a little bit relatable. I think where I've seen others stumble a little bit is they try to do everything at once. They're like, "You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do LinkedIn, and I'm gonna do YouTube, and I'm gonna do TikTok, and I'm gonna do Instagram, and I'm gonna be a subject matter expert, and I'm gonna be an expert witness, and I'm gonna do rev cycle management, and they offer all of these services. You really need to focus on one thing at a time. Not saying that you can't eventually
Mm,
offer all of that and be everything to everyone, but pick one platform. Let's say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna focus on Instagram Reels. I think there's an opportunity there maybe." Okay, become the expert on Instagram Reels. Learn about what trends on Instagram Reels. What are the sounds that are popular? How do you make a video? A little bit of video editing, and then concentrate on one thing. Okay, now I've got this. You know what? Now I realize I'm good at Instagram Reels. I'm gonna figure out how I can make these videos and share them on Reels and share them on TikTok, and then see, okay, well, is this the audience responding the same on both? And it's surprising how many people have reached out for a different variety of reasons just from seeing me on social media. I've had people reach out to me that they say, "Hey, Victoria, I saw your TikToks. I've got some jobs. Would you be willing to push them onto your platform?" And that's a conversation sometimes because I don't want Victoria to become the filter for everyone's jobs. I'm happy to share things, but that's not what I'm targeted for. I will occasionally share stuff, like, especially if I see, hey, like we had talked recently, HCC season is coming up. So you're gonna see
mhm.
all these jobs. Hey, we need 100 risk adjustment coders. We'll
Yep.
take CPCA. That kind of stuff I'll share because I know I
Yes.
have an audience that's entry level coders and they're like clamoring for that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of people out there that you don't even think about. Right now, the AI companies are out there and they're looking for people, "Hey, can you promote my AI, platform that I have?" Maybe. Well, you know? So there's a
I
lot of people
understand.
out there that you don't think about that you come across.
Yeah. And, for those listening, that is also just to show you that, a lot of your jobs and opportunities may not just be with the hospital or that physician practice. It could be an AI company, it can be a health IT company. My last corporate
Mm.
job was for an health IT company. At the time, they had 40 or so coders, and they're trying to recruit me to help them grow. And I try to talk them out of it because I knew like the pain and the struggle, but they had a vision and we were able to do that. But we were also, because also it would take a lot of branding, to help them get there. But the the opportunities are out there, everyone. So that's just the thing. And if you're not putting yourself out there, as I have or Victoria has on social media, you may not necessarily get exposed to those opportunities. And that's the thing
Yeah,
too.
and
I think another fear is, well, Victoria and Bertram, what if I'm putting myself out there for these opportunities? But I've heard of trolls or, weirdos, and I like we used to we had a gentleman on our team that used to prank people. He made a fake LinkedIn profile and he started messaging the ladies on our team, acting all sleazy, and it was just a prank. And they all realized, like, are you getting messages from this guy too? But what about that aspect of social media? Because that, I think, also may hinder folks from putting themselves out there on social media.
yeah, there has been some of that. I mean, I thankfully, because what I do is a more professional career-based platform, don't
Hmm.
have as much as I think some other creators do. But yeah, I've had people come into my comments, "Hey, Victoria, you're ugly. Hey, Victoria, your job's gonna be done in 6 months because AI is gonna come and take over." I recently had issues with someone basically making a fake Contempo coding account and then trying to tell people, "Hey, come on WhatsApp and invest with me," or whatever, pretending to be me.
Wow,
And there
that's when you
was a
know you're
few
big.
Yeah. There's some mindset shifts that you have to be able to take when you're becoming more public.
Hmm.
I had a lot of issues in the past when I was starting out where I would play the comparison game, and I would get so
Mm.
upset, looking at other people and going, "Well, what the hell are they thinking, and why are they doing this there?" And, um, look at way, way overly looking into my analytics and comparing them to others, and, I got to a point where I'm like, "You know what? I have to separate myself, I have to compartmentalize, and I have to put things aside from that aspect and not absorb that content." Like, if I'm looking at someone else and I'm like, "I don't think what they're doing is right," I'm just not gonna look at it anymore. If I think that
There
they're,
you go.
presenting something wrong, like, we see a lot in the industry, people trying to prey on young, stay-at-home moms. "Hey, come and be a medical coder. You can learn this in 3 months, and you'll make $60,000 a year, and it'll be super easy, and you won't have to pay for childcare." And those sort of people that are giving wrong messages, I just kind of have to be like, you know what, I'm just going to do my thing, concentrate on me and
Correct.
improving myself and
Correct.
elevating my game and then connecting with good people that are committed to that as well. One of the things that's I really love right now is when my channel got too big to kind of fit into my home office,
Wow.
I moved to a co-working space. I started at the co-working space to kind of concentrate myself more on my work tasks so I wasn't getting distracted by, like, my dog and, like, the Amazon man. Because as soon as I saw that Amazon man coming there, I'm, running down the stairs like, "What did I order? I don't even remember now, but I wanna have to open this package and see what I got." So it helped me focus, and then they said, "Hey, we have,
Hmm.
a basement here that's available for rent," and they kind of intended it for a small team, but I'm like, "Wow, this would be, like, a great studio space."
Yes.
Um, but I get to connect with all of these people that don't work in healthcare and bounce ideas off of them. Upstairs, software engineers, a
Hmm.
marketing expert, SEO. There's a person who does
Nice.
the scheduling thing. There's a guy who runs like a site that archives graveyards and builds websites for them.
Nice.
There's a girl upstairs that's a full-time TikToker. So I have lots of people to like get
Mm.
ideas with and network with that don't work in healthcare, and it's funny sometimes,
Hmm.
like, when I explain things in healthcare terms and they look at me and they're like, "Wow, your industry is weird," and I'm like, "I know, I know."
Yeah, it's surely different. It's surely different. But in terms of the weirdos and stuff, I'll just say you don't necessarily have to worry about it. And the reason why it's usually hard to get started being content creator, putting yourself out there on any platform, or even if I go to a conference, right? It's hard to put
Yeah,
myself out there because usually we don't have the practice, and you're also creating your own audience. And what I mean by that is there, like, let's say Victoria and I have the same videos talking about, hey, this is what you need to do to get hired. She's gonna have people that gravitate toward her, and I'll have people that gravitate towards me. And that's it. It's not necessarily saying that one is better than the other. Having an audience prior helps, but you just have to realize to just work in your own space and not
yes.
necessarily worry about anybody else is doing, because you're speaking and you're going to gravitate towards people. It's happened. It's been going on ever since we were in grade school. Hey, you just kind of played with these kids, and then these guys or gals play with these, like, just, and it's the same that happens on social. So I think folks overlook things, and we are our biggest critic. So when you say you're looking at analytics and trying to see like what's going on, and it's crazy. Like, I listen to music all the time on YouTube, especially when I'm working out, and I'm like, I don't know why this song doesn't have 50 million views, because
Right.
like I love it, and it should be a good one, but you never can predict what's going to hit, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't hit to the wider audience, that it's not going to hit or speak to the decision makers or the people that you're going to connect with that are going to move doors. All it really takes is one right connection, one right view, and they're going to bring you
Yeah.
into what you're really looking for in the future. So
And that
that's
was one of the
awesome.
things that gave me a lot of mental peace was when I saw other
Mm,
people that were making things that I'm just like, "I don't know about that." I'm just like, "You know what? Different audience." They have a
correct.
different audience that's maybe into the, more drama-related type of things, and that's not my audience, so they can
Correct.
stay over there and consume that content and develop their community, and that's fine because I'm developing something different.
Fantastic, fantastic. What about
I
the
did wanna I did wanna quick go back,
yeah,
as far as, like, starting out too, you can start small, like, I if you have a local chapter, those are the people that are rooting for you, they're gonna be in your community. You don't have
okay.
to do, like, a whole hour-long presentation, you can do something short, like, "Hey, can I do 30 minutes on primary diagnoses or 30 minutes on, office visit E&Ms or 30 minutes on modifiers." And
Mhm.
they're happy to like fluff that up then with another presentation and cover, an
Correct.
hour-long presentation or something. But start there or even just start volunteering at your local chapters. So that way
Mhm.
you get more familiar with like, oh, hey, I'm gonna have to stand up and present myself and be like, hey, I'm Victoria, I'm the education officer, and then build up from there. It doesn't have to be 0 to 100.
Exactly, exactly. Start where you are, start with the people that you know, the people that you can touch, and build from there because they're going to be your fans and they're going to refer you and it's going to build. And every chapter is different. I've spoken with chapter meetings and they're like, hey, Bertram, we need an hour and a half, 2 hour presentation. I usually do an hour. And I said, I can do 2 hours if you need to. But then they're like, well, we also have this other person. So, Bertram, you don't need to take up the whole thing. Why don't we do this? We have you do the first hour and then this person will do the other like hour. Like just work with your chapter presidents and the people that are in charge of those chapters and they can manage the schedule. So what I'm saying is just presenting yourself and making it available to them may really be a big help. Folks will usually have a lot of questions and that also takes up a lot of time to answer those questions and help make sure everybody is understanding. So usually that time for me, I can even cut my presentation down to half the time and still have plenty of time to answer questions and it's going to fill up that time slot. And another thing I wanted to ask you, Victoria, is the type of opportunities. Like, can you share with the audience? I'm sure people reach out to you for coding support or can you help my practice? Because we're up to our knees in super bills or whatever. Like, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of different types of opportunities. What have you gotten? And
Yeah, I
please share
mean,
one of the more weirder ones. 'Cause I'd love to know.
some of the weirder ones. I don't know that any of them have been I mean, I get a lot of odd, kind of spammy promotions. I got one recently, "Would you like to, promote our crypto schemes?" Or, "Would you like to promote," um, all kinds of odd things.
Hmm.
um, phone chargers and drop shipping items. And I've been very careful with vetting who I will help promote for, but yeah, I get
Yes.
all kinds of stuff. Can you help us develop education materials for our practice?
Wow.
I was recently someone asked if I wanted to be a subject matter expert for a case in Georgia. I mean, it's a lot of different stuff, but
Wow.
not too many, thankfully, weird stuff other than just, like I said, the spammy sort of, "Can you promote this off
Correct.
product?"
Correct. Or we have a job for you in Nigeria. You just need to deposit five thousand
You know
dollars,
what?
and we'll.
I did get one that was crazy once. I had someone who was a plastic surgeon in Turkey offer
Okay.
to fly me to Turkey to fix my teeth and promote his services on my channel.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Are my teeth that bad?" That's that
He wants to be
notice.
he wants to be the dentist of influencers. That could be a thing. Wow. Crazy, crazy. How about balancing all of this? Because I also know that you did take a transition from being an employee to being
Mhm.
more of an independent or in running your own
Yeah.
shop, and also you're a mom, right? You have a family.
Mhm.
How do you balance all this? Because also the biggest thing, and I think just since COVID, we're just all tired of doing anything more and adding anything to our plate that we feel like we don't have enough time or it's too much of a bother. How do you balance all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, when I was working full-time and building my channel on the side, it was a lot. But
Mhm.
it didn't feel like a lot because when I'm doing things where I'm creating content, I love it. So it doesn't feel as much like work. Um, but I had to figure out systems for myself, and until I got
Mm,
those systems kind of down, it was a lot of trial and error, it was a lot of
mhm.
tears. COVID was the worst because, my child, Lizzie, is now 11. She's on the autism
Wow.
spectrum, so when she got shipped from a very supportive in-person unit in school to now she's at home. She doesn't have the support that she used to have. She was stressed out. My fiancé
Mhm.
was stressed out. They're button heads. I'm upstairs trying to work. It was something else.
Right.
But as I started kind of going through videos and learning how to edit faster, learning, okay, there's a formula that I kind of have. I'm gonna figure out what's the title, I'm gonna figure out an idea for the
Mhm.
thumbnail, and then I'm gonna introduce myself, and then I'm gonna go into, what's the hook, and then it started to get to more of a formulary type of thing that I have templates now built of I do this and this and this and this,
Nice.
and now I can build things out a little bit more ahead of time. Once things,
Awesome.
of course, died down and my kid was able to go back to school, like, that was a lot more helpful.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people don't realize this. My fiancé is actually a house husband. He takes the kid back and forth to school. He
Mhm.
coordinates all of the housework and fixing things, and, he works part-time actually for Contempo Coding. He's my IT specialist. He ships
Oh,
out things
okay.
for me, builds my computers and all of that. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have that hurdle, but once you get over that first hurdle, it's kind of like, "Okay,
Mhm.
now this is starting to make sense. I can ease this out." For most of the summer, I pretty much only worked part-time hours. I think I was at Disney in June and August, and then I took a couple of mini vacations, so,
Nice.
I'm getting ready right now because I have some projects that I'm, like, super excited to work on, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually gonna
Mhm.
work, like, full-time hours now," but a lot of times I only work part-time hours because I've developed such efficiencies in what I do.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yep. I mean, definitely balancing a job, a family, and a side hustle, they would call it, is a lot. But that's the thing. I think when we are thinking about something, we overthink it, but we also don't realize that as we do something, we're going to get a lot better at it as well. So I try to post on social, once or twice a week. And if I kind of schedule myself to say like, hey, first thing Monday, do that, so that's done, and then people see it throughout the week, and then just
Right.
follow that. And when you're able to do your follow-up posts, it just makes it a whole lot easier rather than overthinking it, overanalyzing, getting too much into everything. And it's funny, no matter what platform we are on in terms of social media, being more consistent helps.
Mhm.
So making yourself for your time and making sure that you do it just as you do any job task, or even if it's just more of like myself, I used to get to work an hour or so early in the office just so I can compile the list of jobs that I would have and I can summarize them and I can know that I have, let's say, 15 inpatient coding jobs and then pushing that out that helps and I can use that as an excuse to my boss that hey what I'm doing on social doesn't even affect my job because I'm
Mhm.
still on the phones and I'm doing everything even more because I was in the office earlier, so I was even able to do more than some of my peers. So it's just more about just making time for yourself, trying your best to balance family. We're post COVID now, right? So trying to
Yeah, right.
our best to just get back into the swing of things, get back on schedule, get the kiddies back in school and get some stuff done. That's great. And this is not just to Victoria, but this would be for anybody. I really would love the roundup to be somewhere where we can all send people. Like, hey, if you're hiring, if you're looking for this, you're looking for this, go to the roundup. Like, this is where people are gathering. If you're looking for an educator or subject matter expert, go to the roundup. They may have somebody, or your post or what you're looking for might be seen by that person, and they can reach out to you. Because I can tell you from some of the people I've seen that's currently on the roundup, Betty, you come to mind. Like these folks have a lot of experience and they have a lot to offer, but they're just sitting there waiting to be utilized, waiting to be able to help you if you are able to raise your hand. So if you have job opportunities or recruiters reach out to you and you can't post everything, feel free to send them into the roundup. Send them to me. I'm gonna ask them to post or email us to get on the roundup so their jobs can be posted. And a lot of folks have asked me, well, Bertram, like, why are you doing this? You have to remember, like, for myself, I'm just a connector. I have a person and I know a person and I know a job and I'm just connecting people. I would love to do this on a broader audience and just help as many people as possible because we are getting more siloed, we're getting more separated when technology should make things a whole lot easier. So we're going to utilize technology to bridge those gaps. If anyone may have comments that I haven't seen, I'm going to go to the comment section in a little bit for any questions you may have for Victoria. Um,
Yeah, I have one thing
I'll,
I wanna talk about though, is I think one of the
Sure.
great things about these sort of platforms is that we can bring this information to people for free. You know, you talked prior about these
Hmm.
conferences and how expensive these conferences are. And
Right.
it's true. A lot of times when you go to conference, you see the people that are there, are the decision makers. They're the supervisors and managers and the directors of the department. And then maybe you have an audience of people who came because they were local to that area, right? So they
Right.
didn't have to invest as much into hotel and flights and stuff. So they came.
Yep.
And I found it fascinating this morning. I was looking at prices for an industry conference that's coming up, and the price for the in person version and the virtual version were exactly the same, which makes no
Wow.
sense to me because if we're not talking about people that you're feeding at that conference and that aren't physically there, shouldn't there be a discount? Like, I have a conference that I've got coming up next month that I'm attending. It's not healthcare related,
Hmm.
but it's $1,000 to attend, and if you want the virtual replays, it's 200 bucks, which make, like right?
Hmm.
And I don't understand that, like, and it conference prices always confuse me because, like, I went to Comic-Con in Philadelphia at, the beginning of the summer, and it cost me maybe $110, and I got to get photos with Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd while
Yes.
I was there.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I would hope that they would think opposite because they probably know for sure with any conference, X amount of people are probably going to attend. But why don't you think about opening it up to a broader audience and having more people attend and be in person? And I know yes, they have student pricing and all of that stuff, but still, if you could market to a bigger audience, or even just say have something like this, or one of the criticisms I heard as of recent is like, so let's say you pay $1,000, right? You're going to be
Right,
sitting in meetings and not talking to anybody for how many hours? And then that networking time is so short, or it's in between the bathroom. And, it's
right.
just, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, a lot of times I feel like I'm interrupting people when I have to go there with a purpose, right? For business reasons. But yeah, it's just, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out, and maybe a remedy for now will be the roundup, right? But I definitely feel that we should, figure this out and make it easier.
Right.
Victoria, I'm not too sure if you.
There has to be a better incentive to get people out of their pajama bottoms and sitting into uncomfortable conference chairs
Correct,
with bad lighting. Like, there has to be
correct,
something else there that they really need.
correct, correct. So Victoria, I'm not too sure if you saw the comments, but you have a lot of love in the comments. You got Betty saying hi. You got Misty. Uh, you got Joanne that said that she loves your YouTube videos, So I hope you are a subscriber and you have notifications for her channel. Um, I'm gonna go and see. Let's see if we happen to have. Amy has said that she loves your videos, very relatable and very funny.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We have a person that mentioned here that you mentioned earlier that the teacher was showing your videos. So what was the teacher teaching, right? But and Priscilla says that she
Someone
always,
was actually in a physical class once and they had my video up on the screen and they, like, took a photo with their phone and sent it to me, and I just laughed
yeah,
my head off. I thought that was, like, the coolest thing.
there you go, there you go. And learning from the source, and that's the thing. Is I love educators. My mother's an educator. I hope nobody takes this wrong, but sometimes they're so disconnected. I think coding does a little
Yeah.
bit better because a lot of the professors and folks that are teaching are usually working in a professional setting, right? But for example, when I took my business and marketing and all of these classes, these gentlemen and ladies, they were not doing any of that, and I feel and we're not even talking about social media, but 10 plus years ago, can you imagine how fast things have changed? The trends are changing so fast right now. Even if you said, "Hey, I'm going to be the biggest TikTok influencer," there's probably going to be another platform that comes out, and it's going to be like all eyes are going to be on that. So we have to realize that things are changing so fast, and you want to be talking and know who's in it right now because they're changing with it. So fantastic. All right. So, yep, this person also says that they've been watching your videos and you're excellent at it and they love the content. Thank you so much for what you do. So, yeah. Mm. So I'm gonna see if we happen to have any. Does anyone have any questions for Victoria. Angela also second what you mentioned about starting at your local chapter, and her first presentation was there, and she asked somebody to co-present with her. So
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think local chapters are a great place to start. And if you wanna even go back one step and say, "Okay, I'm not quite ready yet maybe to be in person and put something out there," you can publish articles with Healthcare Business Monthly. They are always looking for people that are
mhm,
well versed on one subject, at least enough to write one article on it. And they're so happy when they get volunteers, even if it's just, "Hey,
mhm.
we see a lot of denials and I know how to navigate these denials," or, "Hey, I have a tip for how new coders can find jobs." They love that, and you don't have to be an expert writer because they have editors and they will polish anything up and make it look fantastic for publication.
Very nice, very nice. So I did have we did have a question for you from Tara. So Tara mentioned, Victoria, did you ever get burnt out? And if so, how did you overcome it, or did you just
Oh.
refocus?
Oh gosh, yeah. So my one of my coding jobs, I got burnt out to the point of a nervous breakdown. When I was working
Wow.
um, in management, it was just not for me. Um, it was funny because, I loved my staff. I loved going to the meetings and connecting with people and, especially the physicians and when I could get them to laugh. But it was just I was just not cut out for managing people, and it was just
Mm,
too much for me, and I was unfortunately also being micromanaged at the same time,
mm,
and, uh, to a almost violent passive aggressive degree, if that makes sense.
yes.
And, it got to the point where one day I don't know what happened, I just got a horrible headache and I couldn't stop crying, and I went to the
Mm,
doctor and they're like, "Okay, well, what's going on?" Well, they worked with the healthcare facility that I worked with, so I'm, like, reluctant to say anything, and she's like, "Maybe you just have a migraine," and I'm like, Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a migraine headache." Um, and at that point, it was kind of having to assess for myself, like, "Okay, this is a situation that I don't think I'm going to be able to work my way out of. It's something that I'm going to have to step away from." And that's
correct.
part of that evaluation process. Is there anything you can do to overcome this? And if there isn't, is there a way you can step out of the situation? I've been always very protective of my mental health because I have a past history in my early 20s of depression. So when I find myself in situations where I'm like, this is not looking good and I don't know how to get out of it, I will step away from the situation. And I don't think there's any shame in doing that.
There you go. I can applaud that. I can applaud that. And you know what? Thank you for sharing. And it's funny, I had a job like that as well. And I used to like put in weekends to get stuff done. But you know what was
Mhm.
funny? Whenever I got stuff done so I can have an easier plate during the week, they piled on more stuff. And it's like, well, this is never going to end because as much as, time and of course, a salary and barely making
Yeah,
minimum
and
wage.
I think culturally, it's very unfortunate that we have a mindset in America of working more that, the 40, 50, 60-hour work week is normal. Like 50, 60 hours. Like I remember when I was working again in that management position and I would say, "Hey, I worked 50 hours this week." My director would be like, "Oh, well, you only worked 50, I worked 60." Like, why is that a competition? Should
Yeah,
the goal not
exactly.
be to work as little as possible?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, it looks like we have an educator here. Sarah says that she uses your channel for her classes. Wow,
Awesome. I love
that's
that.
great. All right. And Chrissy says that Victoria that she's a subscriber. So, and of course, people love you. Angela says that Victoria's awesome. I can just go on and on. Um, Victoria, anything in closing that you like to share with us? And don't just think about coders, think about recruiters, hiring managers, HIT or whoever might be on the roundup right now in revenue cycle.
Yeah, just connect with as many people as you can. And I want to say that while people don't want to police your online social media presence, you do have to be careful about things because, for example, Facebook, things get very heated in there. There are particularly, I think, like the AAPC Facebook group, people get very fired up about certain things. And while I'm saying, not that the AAPC is policing what you're posting on social media, but if you're in a professional organizational group and attacking other people, um, recruiters and other people in there, they're gonna see that, and they're if they see you repeatedly doing it, your name is going to be remembered for the wrong reasons. I've
Yeah.
had people that I've seen post things in the past that I'm like, "Ooh, this seems off," um, and blocked them, and then wound up finding out, like, a year later that they were in some unfortunate situations, and people were very upset about some professional dealings that they had had with those individuals. So,
Yeah.
while you can promote very well on social media, you also have to be very careful about what you say on the negative end. People don't realize even sometimes, like, if you see a very high, risk or I'll say very,
Hmm.
spicy sort of maybe, political post on LinkedIn and you like it,
Oh,
and I'm connected with you, that might pop up on my feed, and now I'm
that you
thinking,
that
"Ooh, that
I
person
liked it.
seems
Yep.
like they seem to enjoy some unsavory things online," you know?
Correct, correct, correct. I mean, it just goes to show, and I think that's the other spectrum. You want to be personable, you want to be relatable, you want to be your true self, but at the same time, we need to be cautious. Because I mean, just like if I'm at, I don't know, Chipotle, I'm not gonna walk in there saying that like, hey, I'm red or blue, like I got this color hat. No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go in there professional. I'm gonna not try to have any conflict, but some way that we feel that there's not maybe a person on the other end, we may get too comfortable with that, and
mhm,
employers are looking at that during political season. I can't tell you how many times HR will police and will be like, hey, we're not saying that you can't vote for that person or not, but you can't share that. And because that may not, that's going to come back. Because you have to realize that if, especially if you're an employee, as much as it may be Bertram, they're really looking at the firm that I am employed with. Like,
mhm,
oh, then if Bertrand supports that, then the whole firm must think that. So you want to be very careful about that, and you want to be professional. You want to be respectful, and even if somebody is not, let them be them, because other people are probably watching that as well. But yeah, be very careful. And another thing, I think there's been a lot of oversharing, especially of potential patients' information online. Never something
mhm.
that you want to do. We all have to go through and do our HIPAA courses. We want to be ethical, even if that person gives you their permission. How can I say? Try to paraphrase. Give a situation, but just taking that chart and posting it and trying to block out some information should never be done. You could lose your certification. You could get legal ramifications on you. It's never a good thing. So you want to be very careful about that. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll tell you, I
Um,
even had a video where I had, the viral TikTok that I had where I was pretending to read a chart that it was paraphrased of something I had read in a chart, 2 years, 3 years prior, and there were people in the comments that were like, "You shouldn't be reading patient charts on TikTok." I'm like, "No, this is a skit. This isn't me actually sitting there reading patient charts."
so you're so relatable that they just believed it off the jump. Hey, Victoria, how can people reach out to you, connect with you, find out more about you, and possibly you can help them offline?
Yeah, I'm on all the major social media platforms at Contempo Coding on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Victoria Moll. You can check out contempocoding.com.
Correct.
Or if you want to shoot me an email, I don't always respond to all my emails. I get a lot of them, but hello at contempocoding.com would be the contact.
Fantastic. And just because she attended and you're here as well on this live stream, on the same link that you came to join is going to show all of the attendees. It's going to show the speakers. It's going to show everyone. So, oh, Victoria, what? Where was she? You'll be able to find her right here. So, Victoria, thank you so much for coming in and visiting with us. We love everything that you're doing. If there's any way that we can help, or even the roundup, if you want to send people to us, or employers or people that are hiring, no
Absolutely.
dentists from Turkey. We don't need necessarily any of those, but anybody within revenue cycle that we can help out, please send them our way. Okay.
Absolutely, Bertram.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye, Victoria. All right, so we did get a few more questions, and I'm probably going to save those for the Ask Mr. B here in a second. But I mean, please share some love, and in the comments, please give Victoria a huge clap. You have to understand, a lot of these subject matter experts, you really have to pay for their time, and what I mean by that is like literally have to pay for their time. They don't have a lot of time. They're very busy. They're being pulled in a million directions, also their families. So I really appreciate Victoria being here. All right, I'm gonna go to the next slide. Okay. Oh, all right, so I'm gonna highlight a few jobs. And the jobs that we're gonna show here, I would encourage you to reach out directly to these either hiring managers, companies, or employers. Also verify their requirements. I'm not sure if they can hire domestically or internationally. I'm not sure what experience that they're requiring, the location, on-site, remotely, any of those things. But these are a few of the jobs that we were able to highlight in this roundup. Employers, we need more jobs. And I will share with you, we need more jobs. Um, I actually reached out to CEOs that I know of HIM companies, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna have the roundup in a couple of weeks. I'd love to have your recruiters join, attend, present yourself. This wasn't there when I was in corporate, and I would have jumped on at any deal and just say, hey, I'm Bertram, I'm hiring. Like, and a lot of you are missing out on this opportunity because it comes down to branding. And think about a service that you've hired, whether it be your lawn person, your roofer, or any of those things. Even if that service might be more expensive, we tend to go with the services or the companies that we know about and that we've learned about. And a lot of employers are missing the opportunity to brand themselves and get to know each and every one of you a little bit better because they don't want to get on camera, or they don't even want to send Bertram an email with some jobs that I can highlight for them. But you know what? For those who are here, you have a really good audience. I already saw that we have coders of all skill sets. We even have some folks that are within revenue cycle that may be able to take advantage of these jobs. If you're on the roundup as well, thank you for being here. If your employer is looking to hire people, please ask them permission, of course, to have their jobs on the roundup. Like, hey, I'd love to email Bertram at renowntalent.com. Bertram has a roundup every 2 weeks, and he'd love to promote our jobs. Maybe it can help us find the right person. And if it doesn't, it's free marketing anyway. So I love to post those and to get those out because there are a lot of people in the comments that are looking for the right opportunity. And a lot of them are on the fence. Yes, they can apply online, but what if they could actually hold the hand of a decision maker to walk them through? Okay. All right. So here we have the Allied Health Prep Academy. They are seeking a CPC instructor. So if you happen to have a CV with 5 years of experience, this is the email. Remember, this is a recorded stream. So if you're not able to get all this information here on this slide, you're going to be able to go back. You can pause it for right where we're at, right around 51 or so minutes, and you can get this contact information to reach out to them. Okay. We have two jobs here. So we have Melinda Bennis, or Mindy Bennis as I've known her. She's looking for experienced inpatient coders, auditors, and DRG validation specialists. This job is posted on LinkedIn, so you can go to LinkedIn and search for this job. It's by MedReview Inc. So reach out to her, apply to the job, and hopefully, if you're a good fit, that you can be placed. We have Marie that is looking and seeking for an orthopedic coder. As I said, once again, don't happen to know the locations, full-time, part-time benefits. That's hopefully between you and those employers. I would highly encourage you to reach out to these two for those opportunities. And they have posted them, so you can get their information. Okay. And next we have Weller HIT. So for them, they have a client that is looking to hire. They're more acting as the recruiting vendor for this one. But essentially, Weller HIT for inpatient coders is going to help process your application, get you tested, get you interviewed with the client. And if everything is a match, they're going to present you with a job offer, and then you're going to be hired directly with that employer. What a lot of people don't happen to realize is that when you're working with a staffing company or a staffing firm, that a lot of times if you were going to get a job with that employer, it's going to come through a staffing company because they would have the recruiting arm, the contacts, they happen to know the people to actually bring people to those vendors and those employers. So don't shortchange an opportunity because it's through a staffing vendor. They also have something that's called temp to perm. Maybe you work with that staffing vendor, be on their benefits, all of that stuff for 6 months, a year, or whatever, and then you're going to convert full time to a hospital-based employment. Also, a lot of companies use staffing vendors. I run a staffing agency as well. They would use us because, oh, Bertram, we're in Georgia, but this person's in Florida. We don't have tax privileges to hire people in Florida. Why don't we pay you a fee and you'll take care of them, their benefits, and all of that stuff. Like that is a very realistic situation. Working with a staffing vendor allows employers to hire outside of their scope. Or, hey, Bertram, I need the best inpatient coder and I need it for the next 6 months. Can you get me somebody? Yes, we have this person. Her name is Susan. She can help you. We connect them with Susan. Susan's on our payroll. She can start with them rather immediate. We just need to get her equipment out to her, get her set up, get her access, and it's good to go. So, don't shortchange an opportunity because it's through a vendor. You definitely want to make sure that the right people. Weather HIT, another Florida-based company, I've worked with them in the past as well. And this one is essentially they're the recruiting arm and they're going to get you placed directly with that employer. Who that direct employer is, I don't happen to know. Reach out to them, find that information out if you haven't worked for them before, and go from there. So really, I'm just here to share. I'm here to be a conduit, and let's help get some people hired. And if this roundup is really helpful, and if you guys and ladies think that this would be better and more helpful to have it a little bit more often, then we can definitely do that. But we need to hear from you. We need to get your feedback. Comment, on LinkedIn in the DMs or in the instant messengers. Like message me and let me know. Okay. All right, so here we're going to just have a little live Ask Mr. B. So this is for each and every one of you. If you have questions in regards to your job application, resume, or interview questions, or going through your interview process, like Bertram, I need some help. And if you may have a question, I'd love to answer it. So the question that actually I got in my messages was, Bertram, I'd like to ask you about my resume. I've been applying to hundreds of roles with few interviews. I love to improve my chances of getting employed. I seriously need to find employment. Any insight you can provide is so greatly appreciated. When I spoke with this person, the big thing that stuck out to me in terms of their question was the amount of applications that they were sending out. I interviewed this person as well for a role that I was working on through our agency. And I remember they would always say that as an example, Bertram, I would love to work in an inpatient or outpatient coding capacity. But you have to understand, a lot of jobs are usually not posted as inpatient or outpatient. We do understand as recruiters and hiring managers, you may have both of those skill sets, but you have to understand that if I have somebody that just does inpatient over here, if I have somebody that just does inpatient, 5 years of experience, and they're like a rock star. They pass this test, everything's fantastic. And I have another person that's inpatient, outpatient, and maybe their inpatient score was lower. Let's say this one was 90, this person was 80. Who do you think I'm going to give that inpatient coding job to? Not this person thinking that they can do both inpatient and outpatient. I'm going to give it to that person. And a lot of employers think like that. So my advice to this individual was to hone in and focus on your niche, just like Victoria shared with us a little bit earlier. Focus on what you can do. I'm not saying that you will never present yourself as somebody that can do a little bit more, but you want to go in and you want to like instead of being a warrior or a mafioso with like that Tommy gun that's just shooting all over the place, think like a sniper. You want to go directly to that position. Hey, I'm an inpatient coder, and I'm just going directly to it. And then from there, once you get in the application and you're talking to the hiring managers, the recruiters, that's when you can have in your resume, I have also worked on outpatient, pro fee, et cetera, et cetera. But usually going into that opportunity, we usually present ourselves as we are the jack of all trades. We don't want to hire Jack. We want to hire skilled Sally. We want to hire that person that just knows this very well. And if they can do other things, most likely, if you're working with an employer, they're going to have you work on some other things as well, especially if they're in a pinch or somebody calls out, whatever the case may be, you'll be able to help them. So I confirmed with this person, it wasn't hundreds of applications that they were sending out, but even speaking with her, she did not give me the confidence, and I didn't feel the confidence that she was a sniper in terms of what she was looking for. She was all over the place, and employers would usually prefer not to hire those individuals. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get a job, but in a very tight economy like we're in right now, you're usually going against people with the same skill set, and those people are usually getting the jobs. Okay. Um, I did find a question in the comments. So, how does a person with a CPCA get a job? Most jobs want somebody with 1 to 2 years of experience. One, as Victoria mentioned a little bit earlier, HCC coding season is coming up. You're going to see a few jobs. Hopefully, we can get them shared here on the roundup as well. You're going to see these jobs for HCC coders. A lot of these companies, they happen to need hundreds of people to do this work. Usually, if you have a CPCA, Okay. And if you don't happen to have any experience or practical, something like that, they would usually accept you. You usually do have to test with them. You usually have to verify your credentials. It may be part time to start, maybe weird working hours. You need to be there for training. But what I would encourage each and every one of you to do when you are able to get those opportunities, grab them by the horns, tell the kids, the dog, the cat, the husband, tell everybody to wait. Your wife, got to be politically correct. Tell your spouse and everybody to wait, let you get this experience, because once you get that experience, nobody can take that away from you. I would also encourage you on a regular basis, 2 to 3 times a week, to put yourself out there on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm a newly graduated CPCA. I completed this, etc., etc. I am looking for a job. Because what you have to realize is during COVID, I had this is an experiment I saw lifetime. They had these three ladies with no experience. They just had the CPCA, CPC, CCS, whatever, no experience. And they regularly posted every other day that they were looking for opportunities. Towards the end of 2020, I reached out to them because I found one of these companies that was hiring without experience. And I was like, hey, I remember their names. And I reached out to each and every one of them. Would you believe each and every one of them were hired by the end of the year? And it didn't take that long. Why did that happen? That happened because they're confident enough to put themselves out there. And you have to realize another strategy that you have to do with that as well is you can't just depend on your local network, okay, on LinkedIn or even in person. Talk to people at your local chapter, see if they happen to know anybody. Feel free to present yourself or come off mute when you're on the chapter meetings and say, hey, I have my CPCA. If anybody knows somebody that is, needs this, let me know. There are some very key and big decision makers in those meetings. I'm talking like the heads of hospital coding systems for some of these like 1,000 bed hospitals. So do not discount those, but you just have to put yourself out there. Strangers have everything that we're looking for. And your next boss today is probably a stranger, but once you get hired, they're no longer a stranger. So put yourself out there, network. If we're connected and I see it, I'm going to try to connect with people. I'm going to try to refer to other recruiters as well. I've always done that, even before I was as part of my agency. So, we're all trying to help, but you have to also put yourself out there. Okay. All right. I'm trying to go through the comments real quick and get any questions that you may have. A lot of thank you. um, Thank you, Rivka, for that. This person would like to get an internship with medical coding. So I hope I hope you've put your contact information through the format that I shared a little bit earlier. If you haven't seen it, go all the way up. I may try to repost it as well. Um, but that is what you're supposed to do. So if you're looking for something, you want to put yourself out there, follow the format. I'll get to my notes so I can repost it as well. Follow the format, edit it, post it, so the people that could possibly help can help you. We have to put ourselves out there. The lovely wife that I have today, I would have never been able to even have a conversation with her if I didn't put myself out there. And I was so nervous, ladies and gentlemen. I was so nervous. Okay. Um, so we have a question here about staffing agencies. Seen and applied jobs, and they want 2 to 3 years of experience, even though I have no working experience. That advice apply to staffing agencies too. They also bold and highlight. Now, the thing is, it's depending on the staffing agency. And unfortunately, when it comes to newly graduating, okay, so outside of HCC, newly graduating or just having your credential, it's usually best to go with a direct employer like a hospital, a private practice. Reason being is because they're going to be more flexible as to the requirements because it's their job. If, let's say, they hire me to help them find 5 coders, they're usually not going to give me the leeway to bring somebody in that has, let's say, only 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience. If they're looking for 5, they're going to be firm on 5. So, with that, what I would say is it is hard and it depends on the staffing agency. And it would be a fantastic thing just to verify with them that, hey, are you sure you really need somebody 5 years of experience or whatever that case may be. But yeah, I do understand. And as I said, it just depends. Look and find if there are any HCC type of coding positions in your area. Okay. Chrissy has asked, does my schooling count as experience? She's receiving her associates. It depends. And what I mean, it depends on the employer and how the hiring manager looks at it. We have to realize that unfortunately, coding is not like a physician's residency. A physician residency, they get credentialed and they're working at the physician at the hospital or they're at the practice, and they're seeing patients. They're in the notes in the EMR, or they're usually scribing or taking the notes for the doctor, and they're working with doctors, right? Sometimes they'll even have them. Let's say the doctor perform the surgery, and then the resident is going to close up the patient's wound. Those kinds of things, right? They get a lot more experience than, let's say, somebody that's in coding. And you have to realize that unfortunately with coding and billing and revenue cycle, it has to do with money. And whenever it deals with money, it becomes very sensitive. They don't want that just to be handled by somebody that doesn't have as much experience. They also don't want it to go to denials. If practice gets too many denials, then those payers start to eye in on that practice and find out if they could deny more things, or if there's not enough documentation. Let's just say that there's a lot of eyes when it comes to revenue cycle. So you just have to be very careful about that, and the employers are, and that's why sometimes schooling may not count. But as I said, it all depends on your network. It depends on you finding that right opportunity. If you go to my YouTube, Renowned CEO, I have a video there about how to get hired without experience, and that might be a good one for a lot of you. So look for Bertram Lansko on YouTube, Renowned CEO. I may look for it and post it in the comments here, so guys and gals can find it. But that might be a big help for some of you that don't happen to have experience. Okay. Hey, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I got it. And this was like, I did this video like way back when. So you're gonna see a shaky camera. Um, So you may see a shaky camera. It may be some questionable stuff that's said on there, but believe you me, that is actually how I got started as a recruiter after 3 years of hitting walls and hearing the same thing like many of you. Sorry, we apologize, but we can't hire you for opportunities. Okay. All right. I'm working through the comments. This question is, would they hire internationally as I have relevant experience? It really depends, but one of the things you have to realize, and I don't think a lot of folks that are international would happen to realize this. So let's say I'm in the US and the physician practice in the US and all of those things, right? Great and fantastic. Let's say it's over in India. So over in India, they have coding, they've been on ICD-10, like I think even before we were, all of those things, and they have coding. So the thought process is, if I'm in India, I can just do coding for the US hospitals and these employers because a lot of them are sending their work to India. But you have to realize that that has special permissions. There's also a lot of security reasons and risk for employers to do that, that those employers or those hospitals can get sued and lose billions of dollars, because the way that HIPAA and a lot of those things work, it's by case, meaning, or sorry, it's by incident. So meaning, hey, Bertram, it was just your information that was compromised. That's going to be X amount. But if it turns big, like some of the big ones we've seen as of recent, that is a lot of money. So it's not as easy for an employer to say, hey, I can just go hire somebody internationally because they happen to know coding. You also have to think about schedules. You also have to think about communication. You also have to think about compliance and making sure that those folks are able to do what they're able to do. So I can't speak really on international, but in terms of what I see and what I am limited to within my agency, it has to be domestic USA based. And also that experience has to be USA based. So I can't as easy hire somebody from India and put him on one of the jobs because there's just a lot of legalities and things. You have to have the right to work within the US or be a citizen and all of that stuff. So best of luck to you. But I'm not exactly sure if the roundup would be best for you. It's really going to be better for domestic folks. But all great information still, right? So can you work in revenue cycle if you do not have experience? Absolutely. It depends on the job. So revenue cycle is very big. It's like saying, can I work in healthcare? It's just as big as healthcare, I would say. And one resource that you may want to search for is the AHIMA career map. It's called the AHIMA career map. You can just Google it. You can go to AHIMA. It's right there. That is great because it's almost like a job revenue cycle spider. You click on one job and it's going to tell you how to get there and also what it can potentially lead to. For example, you can be a medical health information medical records clerk, and that can lead you to coding and billing. That coding and billing job can lead you into auditing, can lead you into management, and so far and so forth. So that is how you can get there. But I can tell you all of the jobs within revenue cycle, but you can't get started within revenue cycle if you don't have experience. It's just about finding the right job and opportunity for you to get started. Okay. Um, and we have one more comment. Thank you so much for the effort that we're putting to getting this set up and having us here. Loved it, quite informative. And also Victoria, thank you as well. It's been really fantastic to host this. And I don't know, I'd call this one a success. We've definitely for our very first one, I definitely feel like we've added a lot of value for each and every one of you that are staying to the end. I may have a little special present for you, so watch out there. Um, and uh, and yeah, I would say it really just comes down to finding the right opportunity for a lot of you. Okay, so let's see what else we may have. So if you haven't already, please introduce yourself and network. For those who may not already know, so I'm Bertram Lansko. I'm the host of the Renown Revenue Cycle Roundup, just to have some type of meeting that we can meet a little bit more regularly and network, share job opportunities, learn from subject matter experts, and get updated as to what's going on. I run a staffing and recruiting agency within Revenue Cycle. So whether somebody needs, let's say, coders, billers, people to do, credentialing, or whether it just be sourcing, like, hey, Bertram, I need somebody to find somebody and I live in this area. We have a hard time finding somebody, or we just need somebody flexible, or holiday coverage. Holidays are coming up, so we get a lot of those requests. So if you happen to have any of those things or need us, feel free to reach out, send me a message, email me at bertram@renowntalent.com. Okay. So Jennifer mentioned that she would like to see something like this once a week. So let's see. We may get more of that. Bonnie, I think I saw your question a little bit earlier, and I may not have responded. So you asked if you can send me your resume. Absolutely. And if I don't happen to have an opportunity that we're hiring for rather immediate, I will put it on our database, or you can just go to our database directly. You can go to Renowned Talent /careers, and that will take you to our job postings. And it also has some evergreen postings, meaning the next time we're hiring inpatient coders, we're going to go to that and we're going to reach out to those people that applied recently, give them the first shot of applying before posting it. So yeah, that is awesome. Angela, you said you didn't see the form. I just posted it. I'll post it again. I'm getting caught up on some of these comments, ladies and gentlemen, so apologies. This person asked if there are opportunities in denials in particular. There are a lot of opportunities, especially when it comes to HEDIS. So HEDIS may be something you may want to look into, or just denials as well. Okay. Betty also shared the HEMA career map, so it's right there. Thank you for sharing that as well. Like, that is an awesome resource because it really helps you understand where you can go, or if you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you should apply pressure to go in another direction. That would be a fantastic resource. Okay. So as Tara has mentioned, thank you so much for offering your time. Absolutely. I'd like to thank each and every one of you. I'm going to go ahead and I want to wrap it up because if it's too long, it's going to be hard to share with your network. I'm also going to share it to a few people as well. So our next roundup is scheduled on September 20th at 12 Eastern, the same time as this one. So that's not next week Sunday. Next week Wednesday is the following Wednesday. So the following Wednesday on the 20th, we would love to have you. So we're looking to have at least 2 per month. Depending on the feedback, the turnout, we may have a little bit more. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't signed up already, please go to renowntalent.com/roundup. And that is for us to put you on our email list. So when we get it scheduled, right, when we have any announcements, make sure that you have the latest link and you're not going to miss any updates we have in terms of the roundup. You will be notified. And of course, following me on LinkedIn, and for us to be connected on LinkedIn is always the way to go. Okay. So I really appreciate each and every one of you. Remember, for you not to be forgotten and for you to be renowned. And it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. You have to put yourself out there. You have to be approachable. You have to be coachable and willing to get help from those mentors so they can help you almost every president I've seen within the last 16 to 20 years, as soon as they got in office, a lot of them hired the people that they knew when they were not presidents. Yes, they could have gone to the, let's say, the career person that's been in those roles forever, but they usually reach out to people that they worked or that they knew in the past. Meaning, networking, being on events like this, putting yourself out there is really what holds a lot of opportunities for each and every one of us. And also, let us not forget, it's not just about us getting to our destination and for us to have those accolades and all those rewards. Try to bring somebody with you. Try to help others. Okay. So I really love and appreciate each and every one of you. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next roundup on the 20th. You guys have a fantastic, and ladies have a fantastic week. Okay. Bye bye.